But let's get going then with Representative Hicks heading up front. Thank you. For House File 1661. And this bill, I believe, is being laid over. It does have a cost, and we do not yet have targets, et cetera. So Representative Hicks moves House File 1661 to bring that before the committee.
I do have a DE author's amendment.
Okay, thank you, Representative Hicks. And so, Representative Hicks, are you moving the DE2?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so members, this is just a full substitution as a delete all. I don't know if there's any questions for Representative Hicks, but otherwise I'm figuring we'll let her swap out and then she can tell us about her bill. So all in favor of approval of the DE2 amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So the bill is amended. Representative Hicks, House File 1661 is amended as before us. Please present your bill.
Thank you. I will be quick today because I know we have a packed agenda.
And actually, Representative Hicks, I'm just going to pause. Oh, sorry, just to note that, and also we heard 1661, a little bit different form last year, which is another reason we're going to be a little bit quicker.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, Molly. It reflects the priorities developed by the Kinship Working Group with participation from advocates, community-based providers, counties, and DHS. Kinship caregivers are vital and growing response within our child welfare system. We must invest in our kinship caregivers to improve outcomes for children and families. I won't go into all the details. You all heard all of my whys last year. But sections 1 through 3 establish funding to support relative kin caregivers and prevent engagement with the formal foster care system when appropriate. And section 4 invests in an established grant program to support formal kinship caregivers statewide. And I'm happy to turn over to my testifiers for more information.
That sounds good. And at some point, Representative Hicks, I want you just to describe what's in the DE2 as compared to the version we heard last year. But we can, and perhaps your testifier will be able to do that either way. But I'll kind of have either of you do that. And Ms. Woolman, you can perhaps, if Representative Hicks wants to have you go, we'll just have you identify yourself and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Pinto and members of the committee. My name is Joanna Woolman, and I'm the Executive Director of the Institute to Transform Child Protection at Mitchell-Hamlin School of Law. For my entire career as a lawyer, nearly 20 years, I've represented parents and relatives in child welfare cases in Minnesota. We also work on policy initiatives at our institute to help preserve family relationships for Minnesota's children. Much of the direct representation I have done in the last several years has been helping relatives and kin navigate the complex series of systems that confront them when they step up to help a child and their family. I have seen how challenging it can be to navigate both the formal and informal foster care systems that thousands of families travel through during any given year in Minnesota. For many individuals, trying to help a relative or a community friend in need by stepping up when they need support to raise their child can lead to a loss of their job, housing, access to the current benefits they have, and in some cases this can also mean that a member of their household has to leave the home in order for them to get licensed for foster care. Many of these relatives and kin need lawyers to help them through the licensing process, which can take months, and in some cases to advocate for them during the child protection case as well. Some relatives need lawyers to help them establish temporary or permanent legal custody to keep a child in a stable place. There is no right to counsel for a grandmother seeking to care for her grandchild to keep them from entering foster care, and there are very few lawyers in our state with expertise in this area. We ask so much of individuals trying to help outside our formal systems, and they need financial support and expert advice to help navigate the complex array of services and legal issues that may arise when they try to step in. This bill is critical because it recognizes the work that these members of our community do. It provides them support during a challenging and scary time in their lives and the lives of the children they are trying to help. And we know from research that keeping children connected and maintaining a sense of relational permanence is critical to their long-term well-being and success. This bill will help Minnesota stay on a path of connection and safety for children. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Woolman, and thanks for your important work. Representative Hicks, I think that's your only, I'm sorry, no, there's two other testifiers.
Yes.
Well, Ms. Kinsey will have you come up, and please identify yourself and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Pinto and members of the committee. My name is Karen Kingsley. I serve as the Senior Director of Youth and Family Services at Lutheran Social Service of Minnesota. LSS is a nonprofit statewide provider of services to people with disabilities, older adults, and children, youth, and families. One of our programs is the Kinship Family Support Services, which provides education and support for kinship caregivers. I'm really excited to be here today to share our support for House File 1661, really because it invests in those kinship caregivers who play a critical role in promoting family preservation, reducing trauma related to out-of-home placement, and preventing children from entering the child protection system. A vast majority of kinship caregivers are caring for their kin informally, or more fittingly, in the invisible foster care system. According to Generations United, for every one child being raised by kin in foster care, 18 children are being raised by kin outside foster care. This informal kinship care is key to preventing children and families from entering the child welfare system. However, because there's less child welfare involvement, there's a number of barriers to accessing the resources provided to families within the formal system. Caregivers must navigate complex systems, as you've heard from the previous testifier, including the legal system, healthcare, public benefits, county administration, schools, and more. And accessing these supports is complicated and time-consuming. House File 1661 provides the resources to help connect caregivers with locally available resources such as financial and legal assistance, housing, health services, food, and more to ensure stability and better outcomes. We're strongly in support of House File 1661. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony and work. And then final testifier is making her way on up. And once you settle in, if you can identify yourself, please, and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Chair Pinto and members of the committee. My name is Susanna Barnes, and I'm the Executive Director with Evolve Family Services. Evolve has provided child-centered family services for over 46 years and is a leader in kinship foster care licensing. Since 2016, we have served over 650 children in relative placements. 78% of the youth that we are currently serving are children of color. This overrepresentation underscores an even greater importance in keeping children within their family systems and culture. While there has been a positive shift to kin care in recent years, our system is not set up equitably, with 87 different approaches and variable resources, leaving many families to navigate the system on their own. Some relatives are even actively dissuaded, being told that they have barriers, when these are often issues that can be overcome with support. Foster care licensing involves significant paperwork, background checks, trainings, home preparation, and an invasive assessment process. Community organizations like ours are actively doing the work to reduce barriers, providing kin opportunity to receive due consideration. We hold small caseloads to conduct thorough assessments for safety, provide personalized care, and assist families in obtaining needed resources. I'd like to draw your attention to 2 letters of support included in your packet today from kinship providers. Ms. Kenya Love tried for 3 years to gain custody of her grandson, initially working with a county before coming to Evolve, where she was finally unified with her grandson in January. These are her words. My experience working with a community-based provider has been incredibly impactful on my experience in providing care for my grandson. I have felt for the first time that I wasn't being seen as a criminal and was being seen as the preferred placement option and grandparent. I finally feel validated by being part of a community of other kinship caregivers who have similar experiences and who can be a support for me long-term as I adopt my grandson. The level of support that I've received in such a short period of time, including hands-on support in transitioning my license, financial resources, and general validation of my experience, has been exceptional. We believe that all kin deserve access to this type of support, and current funding has not risen to meet high demand. Evolve has personally experienced an 85% increase and fully utilized our kinship grant budget with 5 months still left on this fiscal year.
And we will need to have you wrap up in just a second, please.
Yes, this bill will continue to build statewide capacity to support kin so that their focus can be on nurturing the children in their care. Thank you for your time.
And thank you. Thanks for your work. And I believe that's the last testifier who signed up in advance. I'll see if there's any member of the public who wishes to testify on the bill. Not seeing any. And so Representative Hicks, if you, and can you just walk us through the bill as compared to last year's bill, or you can have staff do that if you prefer?
No, I can do it. Basically, the goal is a simplification with removal of the evaluation based on less money being available, and really highlighting the informal versus formal conversation, making that really clear.
Okay. Good. Well, let's see what questions members have about the bill. And I'll maybe just ask the amounts that are in the bill, the 2.2 million and 3.9 million. Is there a reason you chose those exact amounts, Representative Hicks?
Yes. So they are based on the amount of children that we would hopefully be able to serve. So the 2.2 million in 2025 would fund 3 regions and support 155 families, 2 regions that would support 100 families, and 2 regions that would support 75 families. The 3.6 million in 2026 and 3.6 million in 2027 would allow for all 7 regions to be scaled up to support an average of 155 families.
And do we have that in a packet or anything? And if not, I might ask the advocates working with you, if whoever is, to provide that to us in writing. That'd be really helpful.
Happy to do that.
Thank you so much. Okay, looking to see Representative Katiza-Watoon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Hicks, for your continued commitment to improving the lives of children in Minnesota who are experiencing trauma and hardship in their biological families. I just have a quick question in terms of like the how the grants, not how they'll be used, but kind of how they would be divided. Kind of following up to the chair's question about the fiscal amounts. So I'm seeing in section or subdivision 3 the allowable use of funds, but is there anything that supports the families? I know when people adopt or are fostering, there is the North Star assistance for children. So is there going to be any sort of ongoing assistance available for these kinship out of formal foster care families? How does that work?
Representative Hicks.
So I can ask the department to come down and explain a little bit more about formal, but North Star is available for guardianship transfers through the formal system. In the informal system, I think that looks a little bit differently. I know things have changed in that space, so I'll look for the department to come and explain ongoing support in informal. Previously, and maybe Jennifer will, Ms. Summerfield will correct me, but previously a lot of that support came through child-only INFIP in those situations. If something has changed, though, I'm sure Ms. Summerfield can fill me in.
Ms. Summerfield, please identify yourself and answer the question if you can.
Certainly. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I'm Jennifer Summerfield with the Department of Human Services. Informal kinship providers are not part of the formal child protection system, so they are not eligible for North Star kinship assistance.
This might be part of the reason for this funding, I would think. Representative Hicks will, yeah.
Yeah, so what children are, when we talk about child-only INFIB in this committee, a lot of times those are those children. So in a non-relative situation, child-only INFIB allows the kinship caregiver to access food support and minimal cash assistance through the INFIB program and medical assistance. But in many cases, that is the only support. And so it gets to be really difficult when we're asking a grandparent on a fixed income to raise their grandchild on one child's food support and minimal cash assistance through INFIB. That's a really hard ask.
Thank you, Ms. Summerfield. Representative Katiza-Watoon, anything further?
I really appreciate that clarity. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Look and see if there's anything else. I'll just, before I go, Representative Lee, I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank Rep. Hicks for bringing this bill before us. I am a census nerd and also have been kind of tracking this issue for a bit. So just want to flag that Census recently released a report on kinship care and grandparents. And so just want to share with folks that we have seen a significant increase since 10 years ago. And so that was kind of the time frame. Happy to share the report, but do want to say this is really timely and really important. And grandparents who did not have grandchildren living with them were more likely to have a spouse or other partner living with them. So a lot of these families are actually also single grandparent households. And so just want to really emphasize the need. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Lee. Before I send things back to the bill author, I'll just say as chair that, to my mind, this kinship care feels like a really high priority in the child protection space because we know from research and common sense that a connection with the family is so important for kids. And if they can't be with their parents, with their biological parents, being with family, being with kin feels like a great way to make sure that they are safe and that they have those protective factors with family. So I'm particularly excited about this. I appreciate your work, Representative Hicks. To you, to the last word, though.
Thank you so much. I think everyone said it beautifully. The only other piece I will say is that anybody who's been in the child welfare space knows that the formal system is traumatic. Period. Full stop. It is traumatic. There's no way to put lipstick on that pig. When a family is struggling and family steps up and steps in and supports, it's still traumatic, but it's more child-centered and it's less traumatic. And so supporting folks as soon as they're able to step up is the best way to have child-centered long-term outcomes that are hopefully the least traumatic.
Thank you again, Representative Hicks, for your work and all the testifiers for theirs as well. So the chair lays over House File 1661 as amended, but certainly expect to see it in some form as we move forward, assuming that they're able to.